Morning everyone. Welcome to the Tablelands Regional Council Ordinary Meeting for February. Could I remind everyone to turn their devices either off or on to silent, please? Do we have any apologies? No apologies? Thank you. Could I ask everyone to be upstanding, please? I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we meet on today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. We'll now observe a minute's silence as a mark of respect for the members of our community who have recently passed. We wish their family and friends peace and comfort during this challenging time. Thank you. Item 6, councillors. Declarations of any interest by councillors or senior council officers. Councillor Spanos.
Yeah, it was brought to my attention this morning, Mayor, that I have an interest in 11.2, proposed amendment of the public access easement on Lot 6 on RP 745416 Barron Valley Hotel. My son works for the proprietor there, Michael Nasser, and he also signed my registration form for the councillor option to join. I also am quite good friends with Michael Nasser as well, so if the councillors would like me to leave the room when this is talked about, I'm happy to do so. But I'll leave it up to the councillors if they want.
Thanks, councillors. Yeah, councillors. Look, I think it is a good idea for Councillor Spanos to leave the room so we can have a discussion.
Sorry, but is Con supposed to leave the room while we're discussing this?
Yeah, that's what I just.
Okay, sorry, I thought you were already. I thought you had the issue. Sorry, ignore me.
Yeah. So I think it might be a good idea, Councillor Spanos. We'll deal with that right now.
Should I leave the room?
Yeah,
yep.
thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, but I thought you were talking to the.
No worries. Okay, all right, councillors. Item 11.2, Councillor Spanos is asking us to make a decision whether he has a conflict. The two matters he raised is that his son does work at the BV and the proprietor of the BV signed Councillor Spanos's nomination form to run for election. And that he's a friend. Yeah. Councillors, thoughts on this one? Councillor Barty.
I'm just looking for some clarification. Like we've had matters to do with Mr. Nasser before, and Councillor Spanos has been allowed to remain on those. I thought we'd addressed these issues previously, and I'm just wondering why this matter is different.
Look, it's not different, but I think it's perhaps one that we need to make a definitive decision on, and perhaps after today the way to do that might be to get advice on whether Councillor Spanos actually has a conflict on matters relating to the BV.
Has advice not been sought previously?
No.
Because that was, my understanding was that
No.
we had talked about this before and that the issues
No.
were not issues.
No, the advice has never been sought, but it's certainly something that we can do. We can get advice, which would then come back to Councillor Spanos, and it'd be council's advice, so it'd come to all of us. But that's not for today. Today we're just dealing on this specific issue, and I'll just ask councillors if there's any thoughts or commentary on this, or Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, I've got no problem with him being in the meeting. The issue is only around an amendment to the easement agreement between the NASAs and the council about the use of the public toilets. Not public toilets, use of the BV toilets. So, for me, it's a very minor issue, and I don't see that him participating in the discussion or the vote's going to have any detrimental effect on anything. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Okay. So we've got 3 options up there on the screen. Any councillors like to talk to this one? Councillor Hayden.
So last time he had, Councillor Spanos had a conflict of interest with this, he had to leave the room, is that correct? We brought it up last time, there was something about when we had a discussion about the presentation that Nick Nasser did he leave the room?
I'd have to check the record.
To my knowledge, it hasn't actually been recorded before, or advice sought, or those sorts of things. But it's just sort of come up as to whether, like, just to finally deal with it and get some advice after this one.
Councillor Billney.
Yeah, through the chair. I think it's important that we do get that definitive confirmation where there is a conflict. But to do that, we got to wait for that advice to come back. So I think to deal with it today, the wise thing for me would be that he sits out of this one. I don't believe it will possibly change any decisions, because it is a favourable decision for the applicant. So yeah, for me, I just think for his own safety actually and transparency, is probably best to sit out.
Yeah. Councillor Barry.
How long would it take to get the advice, and are we better off leaving, like, tabling them until that advice has been sought?
Look, it's my personal view, Councillor Barty, we should just decide this one today, because as Councillor Billney said, it's not, we're not approving a subdivision. It's a really minor thing that we're approving. So my view is that we should deal with this today as councillors, and then following this meeting, we'll formally seek advice, and that'll take, I don't know, a week or two. I don't know how long it'll take, but so I'll go to Councillor Lang.
I'm just going to point out this is the first time that Con's actually said they were good friends. Previously, it's been my son works there and he signed my nomination, but now he's actually claimed to be good friends. So I think that in itself is, yeah.
Well, I'll come to you next, CEO. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. My understanding is with regards to conflict of interest, the councillor has declared a conflict, whether he's a friend or anything else, or his son works or anything else, he's declared it. He's now asked council to determine whether he can sit in the room. So we don't need legal advice to determine that. So he's declared that he's got a conflict. All we need to do is vote on the matter to say whether he can stay or not, and I believe that's all we need to do.
I'll go to the CEO.
So you've got 3 different options. You have to choose between the options. So it is relevant if someone is saying it's a good friend. It's also relevant the employment, but then you look at the context. Is it one of hundreds of employees or is it one of 3? And then whether he has also nominated. If you think you may wish to hold this over, so this is at the request of the proprietor. So it may be that they would prefer it just be dealt with today in this meeting, so that if council agrees, then the amendments can go through. Otherwise, we can hold it off till the March meeting and we can get some advice. But ultimately, you've got three different options. It's not just a vote on whether he stays in or not, because you can also vote that he participates but doesn't vote, those kinds of things.
Thank you. Yes,
Councillor
my preference would be to hold it off because Councillor Spanos has come today. He only got this information this morning, so I feel for him in this regard, like he's coming prepared to speak, and so I'd rather see it held off, but I don't know what the other councillors feel on that.
Look, I understand your view, Councillor Vardy. I think it's in council's interest to deal with this today. It's my understanding that it's not going to be a controversial matter for the councillors that are left in the room. It's going to, you know, I don't think we're going to end up with a tied vote or anything like that. So I think it can be decided today, and then I think we can deal with, you know, any broader conflict issues that Councillor Spanos may have regarding this particular property. We can deal with that formally. That's my personal view. So, Councillor Kaji.
I'll move the motion, Mr Mayor, that we adopt option 3.
Option 3, that Councillor Spanos has a prescribed / declarable conflict of interest in the matter, and notwithstanding the conflict, may participate in the matter, discuss and vote upon it. So Councillor Kaji is moving option 3. Do we have a seconder? We don't have a seconder. Can we just have those options come down again, please? Can I suggest, councillors, that option 2, that Councillor Spanos has a prescribed declarable conflict of interest and accordingly must leave the meeting room, including any place set aside for the public, and stay away while the matter is discussed and voted on. I'll move that, councillors, option 2. Do we have a seconder? Okay, we have Councillor Bilney seconding. And those in favour? Carried. That's 4-2. So that's Councillor Vardy and Councillor Kaji.
I feel like I've missed out on something.
And it's just declared. Yeah.
Okay. So Councillor Spanos, we basically had a discussion and we took a vote. And when that matter comes up, we've asked that today that you actually leave the room today. Yeah.
That took a long time to do.
All right. Any other declarations, councillors or officers, senior officers? Okay, very good. That brings us to 7.1, confirmation of the minutes of the 22nd of January. Do we have a mover that those minutes are a true and accurate record? Be accepted. Councillor Lang moving. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Spanos seconding. Those in favour? Carried. That's okay. Item 8, business arising out of those minutes. Did we have any recorded? None recorded. Do we have any business arising from the floor? Councillor Vardy?
The cost of the Tinaroo footpath that was overheld from previous minutes and it was supposed to come to this meeting? We've spoken about it.
No one's giving me feedback about it, so I'm assuming it's not calculated yet.
Can I request that it come to the next meeting? I think it's gone through 3 The itinerary footpath, the cost, the total cost, because it ended up being an in-house job, and I just wondered, compared to what we budgeted, what the outcome was. I think that was in December.
Thank you, Councillor Barty. We'll follow that one up and make sure it comes to the March meeting. Any other matters arising from the minutes? No. Thank you. We have no deputations and delegations today. So that brings us to item 10, councillors, which is the mayoral minute for February. I'd like to talk briefly to Council's decision at our January meeting regarding the divestment investigation into built assets. Of the 290 assets that were considered by officers, 44 are now being investigated for potential divestment. The process is underway and has a number of stages. Council is currently in the legal and governance stage, which is an important step so that we fully understand the issues and options available before engaging with relevant community groups. We expect the community consultation process to commence from March. This will involve engagement with community and current user groups to understand exactly how the asset is used and the value that it provides to the community, discuss the specific condition and future needs of the asset, explore possible alternative facilities available for use, and investigate divestment opportunities such as long-term leasing or community-led ownership. There will be an opportunity at Council's April Ordinary Council meeting for deputations from community members and community groups regarding their divestment concerns. Divesting assets where it's possible is about responsible stewardship of public assets. Every building costs money, even those that are rarely used. Without a review, costs continue to increase, and there has not been a broad review of assets since council amalgamations in 2008. Divestment means reviewing the best long-term future of an asset, including whether council can commit the funds needed to bring conditions up to expected standards and extend the life of the building. There are a range of options, some of which will benefit community groups, including keeping and upgrading, leasing to a community group, encouraging community groups to share community facilities, moving away from exclusive use, repurposing, transferring/gifting to another organisation, selling an asset or nursing an asset through pending end of life to decommissioning and removal. The review reflects every council's responsibility to regularly assess its assets. We just haven't done it before. It's a required and sound investment for council sustainability and community. Finally, I do want to acknowledge the increasing level of public commentary and criticism directed towards councillors and staff in recent weeks. Public scrutiny is part of local government. However, personal attacks or commentary directed at the professionalism and integrity of staff especially are not acceptable. Some of this commentary is related to the potential divestment of assets. A reminder that this was a decision of council, of elected members. It was not a decision of staff. In fact, our staff are ordinary members of the community and ratepayers who happen to be employed by council, and they are just doing their jobs. I acknowledge and sincerely thank our staff for their composure, focus and professionalism during this period. Councillors, I move the mayoral minute for February. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. Thank you. Okay, councillors, that brings us to item 11.1, the Chief Executive Officer Report, February 2026. Over to you, CEO.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and through the Chair. I'm very pleased to present the CEO report for February 2026 and to provide some updates. First of all, Priors Creek Park is now nearing completion, and a wonderful shared community space the parkland will be. As we look to finalise work, there will be some impacts on traffic and parking, and we'll be providing updates with more detail. As well, the website is a great source of information. From Monday this week, there have been some temporary transfer changes within our transfer stations. One of the two specialised waste trucks has broken down. It suffered a major mechanical failure, a broken turbo. I don't actually know what that means, which means we're temporarily down to a very limited fleet. Because of the highly specialised type and function of the vehicle, it's not possible to hire or borrow another. So as we get that repaired, there will be some changes for at least 3 weeks. So if you are in Millamilla or Yungaburra resident, please use the Malanda transfer station. And if you're a Herberton resident, please use the Atherton transfer station. There are no changes to the opening hours or operations of the other transfer stations, that is the Atherton and the Malanda transfer stations. And we will thank you very much for your patience in understanding this as we get our fleet back to 100%. In terms of some work happening across council, budget development has just started in the last few weeks, including building our capital projects and operational expenses. It's a very busy time of year as data are collated before being provided to councillors in coming months for direction and decisions later this financial year. Enterprise bargaining, so we commenced negotiations this month with the unions, and that represent our staff, and the meetings will take place, I think, at least fortnightly or monthly over the coming months, and we're keeping our staff informed as well, and the unions informed of how those negotiations are going. The Community Satisfaction Survey was launched in February, and residents are encouraged to share their views. As of last Friday, nearly 1,200 people had completed the survey. In 2019, which was the last year it was done, we only achieved 668 completed surveys, so it's fantastic to see that great response. Got a number of events for the community coming up. We've got a free community club development workshop on Saturday the 14th of March. All not-for-profit community sports and recreation groups across the Tablelands are invited to the club development workshop, and it's a half-day interactive session to provide some practical tools and strategies to strengthen and grow clubs. We have a free Your Care, Your Choices forum, which is happening on Wednesday the 18th of March. This is a really important forum. It's around the National Advanced Care Planning Week, and it will empower our older residents aged 55 and over with some practical knowledge about encouraging those early planning decisions for later in life, and to support better information for families as well. So that forum will be held from 9:30 to 12:30 on Wednesday the 18th of March, and I think you are the MC.
I think I am.
Mayor. I think that's correct. Places are very limited though, so please register on the TRC website by Friday the 13th of March to secure your place. For grants and funds, the current Regional Arts Development Fund grant application round closes on the 23rd of March. We're offering funding for arts, culture and heritage projects held in our region. Applications can come from individuals, groups or organisations for major grants of up to $6,000, and funding can cover up to 65% of project costs. So please reach out to the TRC Regional Arts Officer or go to the TRC website for more information. Applications are required by Monday the 23rd of March for projects starting after 1 July 2026.
Thanks very much, CEO. Any questions for the CEO? Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just with the community satisfaction survey, I had a call yesterday from someone saying that the survey is only available through our Facebook page. Is that right? I thought it was on your website.
I might defer to Hillary in this regard.
Sorry, that's correct.
Is that
Through the
correct?
Chair. No, it's not only available on Facebook, and it was also emailed directly to staff as well. To
But it's not on
community as well.
not on our website. Is it not available through the website?
It was, I can check and make sure it's still there. I'll just-
Because I had a call yesterday.
It's still
and-
there.
It's still there,
Yeah.
someone's just confirmed.
I had the same query, but, and when I did look it up on the website, it was part of the FAQ sheet that you put out the other day, but it wasn't actually like really obvious on the, recent news or section, and I think I'm getting similar queries to Kev that people are having trouble
Couldn't find
finding
it
them.
on the website?
Yeah,
perhaps? Okay.
yeah, so I don't know.
So, yeah, because my understanding is that, you have to be a member of Facebook to be able to access it, so are
Absolutely.
we able to really confirm that?
Yep, so
They're on
we
the
just
website
confirmed
now.
it's on the website, yep.
Hillary, when you said emailed out, who did, what was that to everybody or?
Right, that's from ratepayers.
I didn't,
I didn't get one.
I didn't get.
Made through the chair, so it's based on the records that we have attached to the rate. So if you haven't registered your email is attached to the property, then we don't know what your email is.
Question confirms.
Yeah, I did get my rates notice
By
so,
email.
by email, so.
So happy to, perhaps, through the chair after the meeting, I can confirm the details that's on the list.
Okay.
Just through the chair, if you type in community satisfaction survey in the search bar at the top,
Yeah.
you'll find that page, which is frequently asked questions, and the link to the survey is at the top.
It's at the top, but it's not actually on like the, people go to that news section, I think, that.
Unless there's a news article created, it may not be there.
The other survey is there, the business one and such, Blake, I think that's what people, so I think that's what the question, that I've received anyways about, yeah.
Right. Just on that, I mean, we're able to just have a look at that and make sure that it is easily accessible on the website. I mean, I don't know whether that's right, wrong, and different, but
So that's correct. What the information that was just provided to council, so it comes up if there's a search. And certainly happy to, we can have a look after the meeting about making it more immediately accessible, but it's certainly available on the website.
yeah,
Most
because
definitely
I mean,
not-
everyone's not IT
Most
savvy,
definitely
and
not
if it's not
membership
easy to
based.
see when people go onto the website, they have difficulty. I mean, I have difficulty using our website at times. I don't use it very often, but so if we can just hit you in the face when you open the website or something, can we do something just to make it for everybody?
We'll go to the CEO.
And just to round out, in the event that anyone is listening and trying to find the way, if you Google Tablelands Community Satisfaction Survey, it should bring you up to the web page. There's information about it on the web page, but the survey link is located towards the top of the page. Is that right?
Correct.
All right, very good. Any more questions for the CEO? Okay, could I have a mover that council receive and note the Chief Executive Officer's report for the month of January 2026? Councillor Bilney moving, and a seconder, Councillor Lang. Thank you. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. Thank you. Well, that brings us to 11.2, Councillor Spenos. So the proposed amendment of public access easement lot 6 on RP 745416, the Barron Valley Hotel. Who's the author of this one?
The General Counsel.
Oh, so that's going to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'll
so-
do the next few.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go to the CEO. Our General Counsel's unwell today, so the CEO will take this one.
Thank you very much, and through the chair, I'm pleased to present this report this morning on behalf of General Counsel. The proprietor of the Barron Valley Hotel in Atherton has requested that council consider amending the current access arrangements to the amenities at the Barron Valley Hotel. By way of background, as part of a previous upgrade of the Barron Valley Hotel, which from memory was in the early 2000s, I've actually forgotten the date. I think it's 2001 or something like that. At the request of the proprietors, TRC entered into a formal agreement whereby a public access route was provided from the Railway Lane car park through to the Main Street Atherton via an access ramp and passage through the hotel. This arrangement in the form of an easement also provided for the full and free right of access for council and its invitees and licensees to the land and the use of toilet facilities at the premises. Since 2001, TRC has provided an annual contribution towards the maintenance of the access ramp, but has not contributed towards costs associated with public access to the toilets at the hotel. The proprietor has now indicated they're no longer amenable to the continued or future use of the toilet facilities by non-patrons at the hotel, due, as they say, to increases in maintenance and consumable costs, as well as an escalation of incidents of antisocial behaviour at the premises by persons seeking to use the toilets. TRC officers advise it's legally possible to amend the terms of the existing public access easement to remove the general right of public access to the toilets, while still preserving the public right of access between Railway Lane and Main Street. Therefore, we seek a resolution of council as to whether to progress such an amendment. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions for the CEO?
So can I just clarify, so the $1,000 contribution every year for ramp maintenance would remain in this agreement?
So anything in relation to the public access route would remain. So we're seeking to change. So currently on the easement in the schedule, all of the toilet facilities located on that lot, lot 6, are available to every member of the public. So that is the amendment we're seeking, or they're seeking to change. And that was registered back in 2001.
Any more questions, councillors? Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew is moving. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Vardy seconding. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, no, thanks. No, I'm happy with the officer's recommendation to endorse the amendment.
Councillors, anyone wish to speak to this one? Those in favour? Carried. That's 6. Okay, councillors, that brings us to 11.3, views request. Lot 426 on CPNR 4045, lot 429 on CPNR 1369, and lot 469 on SP 137920, located Palmerston Highway, Miller. I'll go to the CEO on this one, thank you.
Thank you very much, and through the Chair, the Department of Resources and Mines, Manufacturing and Regional and Rural Development has sought Council's view in relation to 3 parcels of land located in Miller, namely lot 426 on CPNR 4045, lot 429 on CPNR 1369, and lot 469 on 3P SP, not 3P, 137920. Each of these properties has a boundary with the Palmerston Highway and is currently held as reserved by the Department for Strategic Land Management purposes. The Department is considering whether to declare each of the parcels as surplus to its requirements and has sought to understand if Council has any views or future interest in the use of this land. TRC officers have confirmed there is no TRC-owned infrastructure located within any of the lots. There is no future operational need for the land that has been identified. And they have and council officers have no concerns with the department's intention to declare the land surplus to requirements.
Thank you. Any questions for the CEO? Councillor Billing.
Yeah, through the chair. Just a question. What sort of triggers the request for views to the state? Would it be a landowner maybe leasing it, possibly wants to purchase, or? I mean, I know that divestment's happening in state and federal.
Yeah.
You know, we know that, but I'm just curious to see what sort of brings this to light.
I'm not sure that the state has shared its views as to why, but I would assume, I'm aware that they're looking at surplus land requirements, full stop, probably to see what they can open up as residential. So council's knowledge is that they're they're investigating it, but sometimes it's prompted by a particular person that's interested, other times it's part of a policy decision of the government of the day.
Councillor Barty?
Is there any follow-up in relation to your question? Is there any follow-up once we give permission for use, what the outcome is?
They may, usually they'll write back, or we can say, could they please advise us what the decision is? Ultimately,
I'd be interested.
yeah, and they'll normally make that public as part of some policy or a report that they would be doing as well. But there's nothing preventing us from asking for some follow-up.
Final call, councillors. Any questions for the CEO on 11.3? Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew's moving. Seconder, Councillor Spanos. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, I don't have no problem with this report as the officer's recommendation. I'd just like to note that it's interesting to see that TRC is not the only one looking at divestment of assets. So it's happening across the state and federal arenas as well. I'd just like to point that out to everybody.
Thank you. Councillors, anyone else like to talk on this one? Okay, we've got a mover and seconder on 11.3. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. 11.4, views request, lot 72 on M4921, located Azurite Street, Mount Garnet. I'll go to the CEO on that one.
Thank you very much, and through the chair, I'm pleased to present this report as well to council. The Department of Resources and Mines, Manufacturing and Regional and Rural Development has sought council's views in relation to an application by a third party, so it's probably relevant to the question previously, to purchase lot 72 on M4921, which is located at Azurite Street in Mount Garnet. The land is currently designated as reserved for strategic land purposes. TRC officers have confirmed the land is serviced by road and water, although no water meter is installed. TRC officers have advised they have no concerns regarding the potential sale of the land by the development. However, I do want to draw councillors' attention to page 67, where it appears from aerial imaging the land is currently being used to provide access for a neighbouring lot. If this neighbouring user of the land is not the applicant or the purchaser, they may have some concerns, but we're not sort of privy to the state's negotiations in this regard.
Very good. Any questions for the CEO? Okay, do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew moving. Seconder, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Yeah, again, I don't have any problem with this. The officer's recommendation, support it. I'll just make comment about the aerial imagery that the CEO alluded to. Yeah, it does show a track cutting the corner, but they have access to the road 20 metres away, which they also use. Just a bit of a shortcut through that vacant lot in the Lure.
Councillor Hayden, do you wish to
I'm
say?
fine with that.
Yep. Anyone else? Final call. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. Okay. 11.5, Civic Leaders Summit 2026 and change of date for the March Ordinary Council meeting. Yeah, I'll go to the CEO on that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and through the chair, the LGAQ Civic Leaders Summit is a unique event in local government in Australia. It brings together Queensland mayors, deputy mayors, councillors and CEOs and senior officers from across the state. As the March ordinary meeting for 2026 coincides with the summit, it's proposed to reschedule the ordinary meeting from the 26th of March to the 19th of March, so bringing it forward 1 week to ensure the Mayor and CEO can attend the summit.
Councillors, any questions? Councillor Barty?
Is there a reason it has to be a full week put forward? Because the 25th and 26th are the Wednesday and the Thursday. Could we just do it earlier in that week? Is there a reason it has to be on a Thursday?
I think it's
I don't know
just
what the
convention. This council generally has its meetings on a Thursday, so.
I think that's it, Councillor Vardy. We've just generally had ordinary council meetings on a Thursday, so we either go the week before or the week after, like we did with the April meeting. I think we pushed the April meeting to the 30th of April from memory to dodge the other events. So do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Bilney moving and Councillor Lang seconding. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. Right, that then brings us to placemaking. 12.1. Casey Luke Enterprises Proprietary Limited, material change of use, multiple dwelling, lot 23 on RP7 18214-10 2nd Avenue, Atherton, MCU 25/0017. I'll pass over to Kelly, thank you.
Councillors, through the chair, this is an application for multiple dwellings at 10 2nd Avenue in Atherton. It's just a proposal to construct an additional dwelling at the rear of an existing duplex, which represents a really good infill outcome that's consistent with the planning scheme and limits impacts on the adjoining property. It's an impact assessable application, no submissions were received, and it's recommended for approval.
Any questions for Kelly? Councillor Barty.
Kelly, I just wanted to ask about on page 87, there's that sort of very specific 50% transparent fence and 1.5 metre high max. Could you just speak to that?
Yeah,
briefly?
Through the chair, councillor, that's just a design guideline to ensure that we don't have large ColourBond or brick wall fencing across an entire street frontage. So it just helps to ensure that people can have safety and security, but also that we can see landscaping in it and it's visually attractive from the street frontage.
Any more questions on this one? Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew moving.
Mayor, I'd like to move this officer's recommendation with a minor amendment, and that's to remove condition 5.
So councillor, I asked for a mover of the officer's recommendation.
Yeah, I'm moving it with an amendment.
No, you're moving it with an amendment. So does anyone wish to move the officer's recommendation? Councillor Bilney is moving the officer's recommendation. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Lang is seconding. Councillor Bilney.
Yeah, just through the chair. Kelly, maybe what we can do is just unpack that item number 5 a little bit more, the reason behind why it's been imposed.
Yes, certainly. Through the chair, it's a requirement of the planning scheme for multiple dwellings to have an independent standalone area for the storage of wheelie bins. The reason practically, because I never like to just say it's in the planning scheme, is that when you start to get multiple dwellings on a site and the street frontages are very narrow, particularly where you've got a rear dwelling where you have to bring the bins to the frontage, is that councils quite often see that bins are left along the street frontage and take up a very large portion of the street frontage. So these conditions were imposed, and the reason it's in your planning scheme is to effectively ensure that they're kept neat and tidy from the street frontage, but also that it's really convenient for landowners to put their bins away at the end of the day, which then means that council doesn't have to take a further regulatory approach down the track to get people to bring their bins in. To be very fair, triplex is kind of at that point where you could potentially do without the condition and people could have the storage of their wheelie bins in independent units. It's really once you start to get 4 and above that you really have that significant impact. But given it's a requirement of the scheme for multiple dwellings, we've imposed it in this instance.
Thanks very much. Anyone like to talk to this? Either for or against? Councillor Spanos first.
Kelly, thanks for that. Just looking at 3, you said triplex is sort of the cut-off point, is that correct? So this happens across most councils, or is it just something that we're implementing here?
Through the chair, it's a great question, councillor. It varies from council to council. So a number of councils actually impose that once you get units beyond a dual occupancy or duplex, that you actually have to have bulk bin storage, and they actually require that a bulk bin is placed on the site and serviced either by council services or a commercial operator. So these conditions tend to come in for councils who allow their multiple dwellings to be serviced by wheelie bins, just to ensure that they are kept neat and tidy. I should make it very clear that when I say the cutoff is triplex, that's my personal view in terms of an assessment about where that impact kicks in. Your planning scheme makes it quite clear that it's any multiple dwelling beyond a dual occupancy.
Councillor Cardew?
Yeah, thanks. I note on the design plans here that the third unit, there's already 2 units of duplex existing, and this is applications for a third unit at the back, at the rear of the property. And on one of these plans here, it already shows a wheelie bin storage area at that unit. So we're asking, if we leave this condition in, we're doubling up, and we're putting an impost on the developer to create a concrete bin storage, not only for the third unit, but also for the other 2 at the front somewhere, which to me doesn't make sense. I know in my own experiences, my own place, the closer to the front door of the wheelie bin is, the better it off is to take the rubbish out of a day. You know, you don't want to be walking down to the street in the rain to put your rubbish in the bin all the time. So having the wheelie bin close at hand makes sense to me. And then on a wheelie bin pickup day, you drag it out to the street, which you still have to do if you impose this condition. So it just doesn't make sense to me. I understand what Kelly has said with regards to if you had multiple units and they were compact, where there were maybe 2 stories, 3 stories or the like, where you can't take your wheelie bin up the stairs to your residence, then yes, these appropriate storage facilities for the wheelie bins are definitely needed. In this particular instance, it's just another impost cost on the developer. That is not necessary in my view.
Councillor Cardew. Councillors, anyone else wish to talk for or against this one?
So, Mr. Mayor, can I ask, how do we deal with this? I mean, I put up the motion earlier that they rejected just to amend the motion, which I believe you can. So can I ask that the mover of this motion amend it to take out this condition 5 if it's agreeable?
I'll get some advice from the CEO.
So Standing Order 17, for amendment of a motion, the amendment should maintain or further clarify the intent of the council officer's recommendation. So if you're removing a condition, that is not further clarifying the intent or maintaining it. So I think if this motion is defeated, then it might be that you bring an alternative motion that would be that it's approved with that condition approved, but removing a condition that council officers have recommended as part of the assessment under the Planning Act wouldn't fall within amendment. So how you deal with it's a matter for you. So it's whether you let it go through as council officers recommend, or whether you don't and you bring an alternative which removes the bin. But as Kelly has said, she's applied the planning scheme. So if you want to take something out that's in the planning scheme, that's a matter for you.
So look, councillors, it's my recommendation that we've got a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation. We'll take that to the test. If it's defeated, councillor Cardew has an alternative motion that removes condition 5. So anyone else wish to talk for or against this one? Those in favour of the officer's recommendation? Carried. That's 5. So councillor Barty and councillor Cardew. Item 12.2, CNSA Property Proprietary Limited, material change of use, shop, showroom, warehouse, and reconfiguring a lot, 3 lots into 2 lots, 3 lots into 2 lots, lot 5, 6 and 7 on RP7 26490-9 and 11 Lloyd Street and 10 Peaks Gully Road, Atherton MCU 25/0020. Over to you, Kelly.
I apologise, Mr Mayor, we don't make those titles easy for you, do you? We'll see what we can do about that. Councillors, this is an application for a shop, showroom and warehouse on the corner of Lloyd Street and Peaks Gully. It's a proposal for the demolition of the existing buildings on site, which I'm sure many of you will know well, and the construction of 2 new purpose-built buildings that address the street frontage. The application was impact accessible, councillors, and 1 submission was received. That submission actually relates to some traffic impact issues that are beyond the impact of this development. So we've certainly passed those on to the relevant departments, but it wasn't considered appropriate to condition anything in relation to this development in response to that. There are stormwater issues that impact this site, but the proposed development has gone through quite a lengthy process which has sought to address those issues insofar as it creates a no worsening impact. And it also ensures that the new development will be built to a 1% AEP, or as it's commonly known, the 1 in 100 flood level, plus the 300 mil of freeboard. The application is compliant with the planning scheme. It's considered to be a very good outcome in the centre zone from a long-standing lot that lends itself to redevelopment, and it's recommended for approval subject to conditions.
Thank you. Any questions for Kelly on this one? Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? So Councillor Cardew moving and Councillor Spanos seconding. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I fully support this application and the officer's recommendations. I note that the applicant's in the room today, and I think it's a good proposal on that site down there. Like Kelly alluded to, there's been an old derelict building on that site, and it's aesthetically unpleasing for a long time, and this is going to be a great opportunity to clean that all up and provide something new and modern and enhance the CBD of Atherton. So I congratulate the applicant on that. The only thing that I would like to note and to be recorded is that in here there's a condition to put a 2 metre wide footpath strip along Lloyd Street. I just want to note that prior or in the operational works permit somewhere, please note that can council and the applicant work together when the footpath is going to be constructed to try and alleviate the stormwater drainage issues that we face on Lloyd Street and Peaks Gully in raising the footpath to some degree or the like. So I just want to be able to, I don't want the applicant to put in a 2 metre wide footpath as per the development approval, and then we come along 6 months later and rip it up and raise the footpath because of the stormwater issues. I just want us to be able to work with the applicant when he's doing his work. Perhaps we do our work, some work ourselves, to try and mitigate to some degree the stormwater issue that's flooding next door neighbour's property.
Thanks for the advice on that. Kelly, can you comment on that? Or?
Through the chair, just insofar as the planning conditions, we are very aware from approving OPW's, operational works permits across the region to ensure that we, to the extent possible, coordinate any works with future or current council works that council may have on its agenda to ensure there's no lost costs or rework required on behalf of the industry and council. In terms of aligning it with timing from council, I'll take that on note and we can discuss that as appropriate.
Thank you.
Anyone else, councillors, would like to talk to this one? Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. Okay, that brings us to 12.3. The Atherton Retirement Village Proprietary Limited, material change of use, multiple dwelling, lot 15 on RP7 48712 5-7 Elizabeth Street, Atherton, MCU 25/0022.
Through the Mayor, this application is for the conversion of an existing development of a retirement facility to multiple dwellings with the intent to broaden the use rights associated with the existing structures. It's located at 5-7 Elizabeth Street, Atherton. The application is impact accessible, and as councillors will be able to see from the report, there were a significant number of submissions received. The majority of those submissions related to the existing tenancy arrangements and its previous use as a registered retirement facility. And whilst we certainly understand the sincerity of those submissions and their concerns for the existing residents, unfortunately, it's not something that we can consider in terms of a planning assessment for the use rights that are sought. There was one submission with respect to amenity from adjoining properties, and in response to that submission, we have imposed a fencing condition on the side boundaries. The application is compliant with the planning scheme, and in this circumstance, it's recommended for approval subject to conditions.
Thank you. Any questions for Kelly? Councillor Vardy?
Kelly, just with that being created under the Retirement Act and having to go through that formal cancellation process, which I understand was in 2025, would residents be aware that that's actually occurred and what's happening there? Would they have been consulted in that process?
Through the chair, it's not a question that I can answer with great certainty. My understanding is there would have been some tenancy arrangements under that provision that would have been in place that would have required a formal process. But I think it's a great question because it's really important to understand that the operation of the retirement facility under that act sits entirely independent of the planning scheme definitions. So even if we were in a situation where that licence hadn't technically been cancelled, council could still consider this application for multiple dwellings independent of that, and that would be a matter for the operator to resolve under a different item of legislation separate to the planning approval.
So just to make sure I've got my head around that, so there was no need for them to actually cancel that. They could have brought this application in anyway and then done the cancelling afterwards?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Yeah,
that is
okay,
correct. From a planning perspective, whether that causes an issue from an operational perspective, but from a planning perspective, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's like in some of the letters they talk about that perpetual lease situation. So that perpetual lease could still exist even if the retirement village component has been cancelled.
Again, through the chair, from a planning perspective, yes.
Yeah.
It may cause some, I don't think it will cause any difficulties from a building certification and classification perspective, but potentially from their operational aspects, they may have needed the planning definition to align.
Yeah.
But from a planning perspective, yes.
Yes, okay. And I know you spoke the other day about like the RTA protecting the rental rights of people sort of in this situation. Those residents that are affected, how can they contact the RTA? Is that the process that they have to go through to?
Through the chair, we are probably straying a little bit outside of my area of expertise. I understand they will have some form of tenancy arrangement with the landlord, and whatever that tenancy arrangement is, and we're not privy to it, it will have very clear directions within it in terms of how to raise those concerns and address those concerns. But if there is an RTA agreement in place, then yes, it is the residential tenancy.
And just one more question. So if this was refused today, that the owner would still be able to change the rental agreement and all that sort of thing, regardless of what we vote for today anyway?
Through the chair, that's a great question, councillor. So if the council was to refuse this application and it was to retain the use rights of a retirement facility, the only thing that the planning scheme requires is that it's for, I'm not sure if it uses the words over 50s, but it's for people of a certain age. It wouldn't necessitate it to continue to operate under the Retirement Act. So over 50s lifestyle resorts and all those sorts of developments can be called retirement facilities. I would probably go a little bit of a step further to say there are very limited planning grounds under which to refuse this application. And I would anticipate that if council was inclined to refuse the application, that the applicant would have some fairly strong grounds on appeal.
I'll just go to the CEO.
Thank you, and it's to Kelly's point as well. So if you refuse the application today, the grounds that you use must be reasonable and relevant under the Planning Act, but then you can't create new ones once we leave. It will be the grounds for the refusal, which can then be appealed by the applicant.
What does that appeal process actually look like? Is that?
It goes through the planning
It
environment.
goes through the
Board.
planning environment?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Involves mediation, all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Final call for questions for Kelly on this one. All right, do we have a mover and seconder of item 12.3? Councillor Cardew is moving. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Spanos. Councillor Cardew.
No, thanks, Mayor. I'm happy with the officer's recommendation.
Councillors, anyone else? Councillor Lang?
I'd just like to say that I appreciate the concerns that the residents do have. However, as Kelly has clearly pointed out, there's no reason for us to deny this application. But, yeah.
Thank you. Councillors, final call. Those in favour? Carried, that's 6-1. Councillor Clarke. Uh, 12.4, Fiona and Brian Sanderson reconfiguring a lot, 1 into 2 lots, lot 22, SP 306247, Nasser Road, Atherton, RAL 25/0002. Thanks, Kelly.
Through the chair, this is an application for reconfiguring a lot, 1 lot into 2 lots at Nasser Road, Atherton. The application was impact accessible and no submissions were received. The principal issue with this development is the stormwater impacts of the site. So the site has a large existing drainage easement running through it with some fairly significant stormwater infrastructure in it. A lot of work was done by both the applicant and council's independent assessing engineers throughout the application process to ensure that post-development the stormwater could still function, if not be improved through the development, and suitable conditions have been imposed to ensure that. The application is compliant with the planning scheme and recommended for approval subject to conditions.
Thank you. Any questions for Kelly? Councillor Cardew.
Kelly reminded me that I had a question today, this morning, which refers to the discharge pipe from the detention basin from the subdivision next door, whether it was within that easement, the stormwater easement there, but you said you'd asked the question but hadn't got an answer yet, so yeah, you can get back to me on that at some stage, but because it was a concern, I do recall at the time there was a lot of discussion around whether that outlet was actually was constructed within the stormwater easement across this property. If we could just clarify that, that'd be great.
Okay, councillors, any more questions for Kelly? Okay, do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew is moving the officer's recommendation. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Bilney seconding. Councillor Cardew.
No, all good, thank you.
Yep. Councillor Bilney.
No, for me.
Councillors, anyone else like to talk either for or against this one? Okay, those in favour? Carried, that's 7. Councillors, before we go on to 13, infrastructure and environment, we might take a morning tea break. We might take 15 minutes if that's okay. Come back at about 20 past. Okay, thank you. We'll reconvene. We're up to item 13, infrastructure and environment. 13.1. Asset divestment process and investigation land parcels. I'll pass over to Shane, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, councillors, the purpose of local government asset divestment is to optimize public resources, generating revenue, reducing maintenance costs, and reinvesting in essential services by divesting surplus, obsolete, and underutilized assets like land and buildings. This process allows councils to focus on core functions and improve financial sustainability. It ensures assets align with strategic goals for efficient service delivery to current and future residents and visitors. The review of community assets is an ongoing and iterative process. It is not a fire sale, but a responsible and forward-focused means of ensuring that our services are affordable, sustainable, and continue to meet the needs of the community now and into the future. What is divestment? Divestment does not just mean the demolish or removal of an asset. Other options including transferring ownership to community organizations, clubs, or associations, particularly where they were responsible for the construction of the asset, sale of the asset, relinquishing trusteeship and handing back to the state, or entering into a long-term lease agreement. Council has the option of retaining and investing in assets where this is the best interest of the community. Decisions will be guided by the 5-stage process set out in the report. The 5-stage process is being followed to investigate and evaluate each community asset. No outcomes have been reached and nothing is predetermined. The 5 stages are: Stage 1, review and identification. This is where we identify assets to be included for review, informed by various inputs including councillor requests, officer recommendations based on community priorities, customer requests, and precincts and service reviews. The list of assets flagged for investigating is then tabled at the public ordinary council meeting. Stage 2, council resolution. A decision of council is a formal direction to officers to begin investigating the identified assets. This is the purpose of the report presented to you today. This stage of the asset divestment process is also where the community is informed, with impacted users being directly involved at stage 4. Subject to council's decision today for assets included in resolution 1, we will move on to stages 3 and 4, which involve the internal and legal review in consultation with affected users. Stage 3 is information gathering. Council's decision at stage 2 provides direction for officers to undertake a detailed review of each asset. Because of the age of the assets, there can be long-standing and complex use, tenure, and access arrangements in place. This stage ensures that legal rights and obligations are understood and that all relevant information about the asset is collated for presentation at stage 5. Stage 4, direct consultation. This is where officers will engage the affected user groups and the wider community as appropriate. Subject to council's decision today for the assets listed in resolution 2, we will move directly to stage 4, consultation with affected users, as the tenure and use arrangements are already well understood. Stage 5, evaluation and recommendations. At this stage, the outcomes from the reviews and consultation are presented in a formal report to public meeting of council for a decision. The report will provide the community and councillors with the details from investigations, information on current use, outcomes of consultation undertaken, financial details, known history of the asset, and the recommended outcomes such as donation to a non-for-profit group, sell at auction, long-term lease, maintain to end of life, or some other outcome determined through the investigation. It is at this stage that councils make the final decision regarding divestment. Anyone interested in viewing the location of the land parcels listed can do so using public mapping tools like Queensland Globe to look up the lot and plan numbers included in the report. As always, if anyone has particular questions or interest in the land, they can lodge a customer request either through our website or by calling our customer relations team. The report is presented to council with a list of 48 public land parcels for investigation and 15 parcels for divestment, and clearly defines the processes that will be followed throughout the journey. Mr. Mayor, may we please open the floor to questions?
Thank you, Shane, for that comprehensive update. Councillor Spanos.
Shane, I just want to reiterate to the community that this is just an investigation. We are not looking to divest anything at the minute. We're looking at just investigating, correct?
So through the chair, the second part of the resolution with the 15 land parcels is for divesting those land parcels. So we would move to community consultation, and then that will give us the ability to seek market interest if that's the way.
Okay, so we're clear.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's two spreadsheets there, councillor Spanos. The 48 is for investigation.
Yep.
And I think the other one's 15 is for.
Yeah, I just want the community to understand what we're doing.
Yeah. Councillors, any more questions for Shane on this one? Councillor Barty?
Shane, I just have a couple of questions around a few things. Like when the report does eventually come to council for voting, are we voting on individual properties then, or like today we're voting on those two tables? So yeah, when it does come back to us, how will that be presented?
So all the information for each asset will be as per, I guess, what I just said, the use, the information, the legal obligation. So it could be posed either way.
Either way, I realize there'll be more interest in some lots than others and things like that. So will it just sort of evolve as you get that information? As to how that process will.
And we'll present all that information to councillors in the detailed councillor information session.
Okay, and I just wanted to ask on page 222, it refers to like parks that are identified in the LGIP. Can you just clarify which parks are currently in the LGIP?
I don't have all of that. I take that on notice because I think there's 3 in there. Yeah. I'll take that on notice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I just also wanted to ask, I note that the Marby Way lots are on there. Can you just briefly talk to that if you can? They're the 3 new lots in with Forest Creek, and why are they there when we're already trying to sell them, and what's happening with the process?
Yep. Through the chair. Thank you, councillor. The Marby Way lots are on there because this will provide formal direction for us to actually go out to market via expression of interest and actually get the formal process going so we can understand what interest there is from the market for potential sale.
So at this point, if somebody had an expression of interest, this would have had to come back as a separate resolution of council, is that correct?
So expression of interest have come in and are logged as requests, but this is the formal tick for us to actually go to market with the request for tender information. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And oh, yeah, and I was just going to say, with the spreadsheet, there were a number of lots that weren't supported by council for divestment. What happens with those lots now? Are they protected?
Through the chair, they're in our land register and remain with us for now. If something in the future comes up, those lots would be brought back to council for their decision. Yeah.
Any more questions, councillor Barty?
No, thank you.
Councillors, any more questions for Shane? Okay, councillors, do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew and councillor Lamb. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I just want to say a few things and try and put the mind of the general public at ease a little if I can explain myself in a way that will do that. Do I agree with council divesting properties and lots like is proposed? Well, yes, I do. I believe that we have a lot of ageing assets and a lot of unutilised land that we've inherited through amalgamation, etc. And times change. And can are we in a position to be sustainable in maintaining all of these assets? Well, no, we're not. It's as plain and simple as that. Do I agree with the process and messaging that's been put out today? Well, no, I don't. I'm a born and bred local. I've worked in local government for a long time, and I have never seen the community so upset over a matter such as this in my entire working career. I think the messaging and the process could have been better, and no disrespect to any staff, but I think it could have been better, and we're the ones at the end of the day who have to take responsibility for that, not staff. So yes, we could have done it better, I believe. I just want to reassure everybody out there that there's two lists. One is for investigation and one is for divestment and disposal. All the ones on investigations, they're all going to come back. You know, once we get the community consultation out of the way, once we've met with the user groups of all these things and get their views and what they're, whether we can offload these things to them or not, then those decisions will come back and we'll have to make a decision on it. The ones we've put on the list here to divest, and especially this list in front of us today, people might be aware that, or may not be aware that the Shire offices across the road are on this list. And there's a really good reason for that, which to my understanding hasn't been delivered to the community as yet. So one of those reasons is that once these things, these land parcels and buildings are on the list to divest, and there is a council resolution in place to that effect, then those buildings and land parcels, etc., are then taken off our assets register. We no longer have to pay depreciation on it, and we no longer have to carry out major maintenance, and etc. So, and it also allows us to do other things. It gives us the opportunity to explore other avenues. With the Shire office, I spoke to somebody yesterday and tried to explain the same thing that I'm trying to explain here today with regard to the Shire office. That office over there is old, it's a rabbit warren, it leaks like a sieve. It's time that we look into the future to relocate. So one of those things that we've been talking about is some sort of civic complex on this side here where the old school is. And in order to do that, the old school needs to go, and that's already been resolved to do that. And that's only one of the buildings that's up for demolition. There's not too many others. But in order to be able to move forward, and speaking to this person yesterday, they said, I can remember 40 years ago council had the idea of doing this. So, we've spent 40 years doing nothing, and this council has now taken the front foot to decide to do something. And the first step in that process is to have a resolution on the books to divest, so that we can move forward. Doesn't mean to say we're going to knock it down or sell it tomorrow. I mean, we've got to have a home to go to, so we've got to enter into negotiations with somebody, an interested party, to look at what we can do on this site over here and develop a civic centre, which may include a new Shire Chambers, new Shire office, some sort of commercial component, some sort of theatre component, or what have you. This is all in the future. So this is the first step that allows us to do that. So it's not about slashing and burning and getting rid of and demolishing everything and taking things away from the community. Far from it. It's trying, with all the other little ones, like the sporting clubs and the like. It's not about shutting down the sporting clubs or the sailing clubs or anything else. It's about divesting and giving them, our community groups, our not-for-profit community organisations, giving them the opportunity to take these assets on and run them and maintain them the way they see fit. Take it off our books. It reduces depreciation, etc. for council. So that's the name of the game. Now, when the consultation process starts, it may well be that some of these groups that we approach and some of these assets that are on the list, some of these groups may not be in a financial position or the like to be able to take these things on. Well, then that's fair enough too. So in my mind, the status quo will remain, you know. And so we're not going to take anything away just because it's on a list. You know? We're giving the public the opportunity, or not the public, we're giving the community organisations an opportunity to take these things on themselves. A lot of them have built these infrastructure on these lots themselves. And we give them the opportunity to take it, look after it, own it, and then allow them to do what they like to move forward with their own business and not put council in the middle. I think time's come for this council especially that you know, we've got to get back to basics in my mind and start, you know, looking after things that local governments should be looking after, you know, maintaining our roads to an acceptable standard, making sure our stormwater drainages are all clean and workable and stop flooding our communities' assets, you know, and private properties and the like.
Councillor Cardew, I think you're getting off the point a bit.
Anyway, yeah, thanks, Mayor. I'm just about to wind it up. But I just wanted to talk to this and reassure the community that I know there's a lot of angst out there, but you've got to understand it's not about slashing, burning, selling, getting rid of things and making things hard. We're trying to make it easier and allow community groups to take these things on themselves and run them the way they like to run them and take council out of the equation. Thank you.
Councillors, anyone else like to?
Yeah, I'd just like to agree with
Councillor
Kevin. 100%. Messaging has been lacking here, but this is something that is many years overdue. So thank you for all your hard work.
Thanks, Councillor Lang. Councillors, Councillor Barty.
Yeah, I'd like to say that we need to be careful in our approach here. I know some of these lots have a strong community interest, and I'm particularly thinking of the Pink Street Park and the John Johnson Park in Curai. We really need to listen to our community and hear their interest and address those. If the decision on any of these lots is to sell, this is a one-time irreversible decision. Once public land is sold, it is lost to community forever, and we need to be really careful with our thoughts here.
Thanks, Councillor Barty. Councillors? Councillor Spanos?
Rod, I would love this to have come from you. That's all I can say. I would have loved this to have come from you. You're our mayor. I would have preferred this came from you rather than Kev or the rest of us here. Yeah. I mean, I know you explained yourself at the beginning. I got that. I understood that. It's coming from the heart, mate, which is really matters to these people. And I would have loved for it to have come from you. And that's with no disrespect. I know who you are. I think your heart's in the right place. I just think it needed to come from you. Yeah. Okay.
Look, I am going to say something, Councillor Spanos.
Go ahead.
It might be what you want to hear.
No, it's fine, mate. Yeah, no, it's okay.
But look, just following on from Councillor Cardew's words there are some governance principles that council's bound by. So we can't do communication, consultation and engagement with community until we've got a resolution. So you've got to have the resolution first and then you start those processes. It's, you know, we can't without a resolution go to community and say, look, we're thinking we might look at divesting some buildings and land. You can't do it. You've got to have the instruction from council is governance 101. Resolution to divest some of these buildings, and today the resolution hopefully to divest some of our land assets. Until you've got those, you can't do any community engagement because council hasn't resolved to do it. Council hasn't been given the instruction. So it's a really important thing. And look, I understand there's a lot of emotion in this, but it's really important that we do this at this moment. You know, if we get this through, it'll be such a proud thing for this council, because this is needed doing for a long time. Not blaming anyone, but it's always, whoever was going to do it was going to be really hard. If we get it over the line today, that's fantastic, because it sort of coalesces with the growth spike that we're in. If we don't be proactive and try and get ahead of the game a bit, growth will happen and it'll be a complete dog's breakfast. But what we're doing with divestment sort of fits into the growth spike that we're in. While this growth is happening, we're actually looking at, you know, having a good review of our older buildings, many of them, and having a lot of vacant land, a lot of it that we've been mowing forever and ever and ever, turning that land into investment opportunities for those people who you know want to do some development or want some more land. So it's a really, really good thing, and I look forward to getting it across the line today if we do. I don't want to jump the gun, but hopefully we will. They're my thoughts, but look, I'll go to Councillor Hayden. Thank you.
So not to be left out. So council manages the money on behalf of all the community. Divestment ensures public funds are investing in sections that support a sustainable future. By commencing divestment, council is demonstrating leadership and integrity. Councils that divest are increasingly recognised as forward-thinking and socially responsible. It is a prudent financial decision, a responsible use of public funds, and a clear demonstration of leadership in addressing social challenges, and this is part of a process, so I fully support it.
Thanks, Councillor Hayden. We go Councillor Billney.
I think I'm the only one that hasn't said anything, so I'll do too. Look, to be a responsible, financially sustainable council, we need to go down this path. It is the second phase of a 5-step process. We know we make these sort of decisions in our own life, you know, our households. If we've got old things that need to be changed, we make that decision. Council's no different. You know, there's been many councils in the past that haven't been bold enough to make the decision to investigate what that future of these assets may look like. This council has made that decision and is going down the path. Just because those that are on the list for investigation doesn't mean they're going to be flattened, doesn't mean they're going to be sold. It's what is the potential for each and every asset, and then we'll deal with it, because there may be legal implications of divesting something. It may be that we go down the path of obsolescence. We still achieve a desired result. We just need to explain that to the community and support them along the way.
Fantastic. Thanks, Councillor Billney. Thanks, councillors. We've all spoken. I've got a mover and seconder for 13.1. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. Fantastic. That brings us to 13.2. Mount Garnet Works for Queensland funding, scope of works. I'll pass over to Sean. When you're ready, Sean, you can talk to that one, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair. Councillors, this report presents the finalised Mount Garnet scope of works under the Works of Queensland program. Following extensive community engagement, including a recent public meeting on the 5th of Feb, officers have developed a project list that directly reflects local priorities. It is important to note that while the proposed scope of works is comprehensive for the $500,000 budget, council officers have utilised all available data and technical information to ensure budget estimates are as informed and accurate as possible. We now seek your endorsement to formalise the funding variation and move towards successful delivery of this project.
Thanks, Sean. Any questions for Sean? Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Hayden's moving. Seconder, Councillor Billney. Councillor Hayden.
Okay, the refined scope has been developed to better reflect local priorities, deliver practical and achievable outcomes. The proposed scope strengthens the Works for Queensland objectives by focusing on infrastructure and works that provide clear community benefit, improve local amenities and support livability in Mount Garnet. The updated scope remains within the intent of the original funding approval or responding to on-the-ground conditions, cost considerations and community needs identified during community engagement. The project will contribute positively to Mount Garnet by improving essential community assets and reinforcing the town's capacity to meet current and future needs. So that's why I fully recommend this recommendation.
Councillor Billney.
Yeah, through the chair, look, I'd just like to thank staff and Councillor Hayden for their work within the community, understanding what was the desires and appetite of the community. So I tip my hat to all involved.
Thank you. Councillor's final call on this one. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, I've always advocated, I have a bit of a soft spot for the Mount Garnet community because they're probably the most isolated community that we have in our TRC footprint, and they do miss out on a lot. We all know what's happened with the pool in recent times, and this injection of funds to try and improve some of the amenity up there and recreational amenity for them is a little step forward in trying to ease that pain. But all the things on this list here have arrived on this list through community consultation, and I take my hat off to the staff that have consulted with the community pretty extensively to arrive at this list in the report here today. I know also there's been a lot of negative comment in social media and the like about this, but I would ask those people who are negative to this, did they attend the community consultation processes in Mount Garnet? I would think not. The people who did attend were instrumental in putting this list together to try and help their community. So I hope everything on this list is achievable. I have raised my doubts with regards to costs, but if we can deliver all of this, like I just said, it will go a little way, only a little way, to easing the pain in that community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor's final call. We've got a mover and seconder on 13.2. Those in favour? That's 7. Fantastic. Thank you. 13.3, project variation, activating local council's REIT action plans, ALCRA P0000049, soil conservation and stormwater drainage improvements. I'll pass over to Tudor. Councillor Billney, I'll just get you to chair that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Chair.
Take it away, councillors.
About 2 years ago, TRC was successful in securing funding under the Activating Local Councils REIT Action Plans federal initiative for 6 projects totaling $920,000 of grant funding. The soil conservation and drainage improvement project has $243,000 of this funding, and to date has delivered the Scotto Close drainage upgrade and completed a detailed design for the Lindgren Close drain update. Of the $243,000 budget for this particular project, there is $90,845 remaining. Unfortunately, this is not enough to complete construction of the Lindgren Close upgrade. The proposed variation aims to utilize this remaining grant funding to install a solar system on the Disaster Coordination Center. The Disaster Coordination Center has been identified as one of our largest energy users that is suitable for the installation of solar. It will benefit from solar power generation, reducing TRC's energy costs and emissions. The proposed variation will deliver installation of a 60 kilowatt solar panel array and a 44 kilowatt hour battery. This variation complements the solar panel installation project, one of the 6 projects, which was already endorsed under the federal initiative. This one's substantially completed and has already resulted in successful solar panel installations on 5 other TRC facilities and is reducing our operating costs. The Department of Industry, Science and Resources, for administering this funding, has already considered this change request and has provided their approval in principle. So I'm bringing it in front of Council for endorsement of this variation. The aim is to utilize the remaining funding in the best possible way. We looked at a number of options. This is by far the preferred option and is recommended.
Thanks, Tudor. Questions for Tudor? Councillor Billney, then Councillor
Yeah,
Barty.
through the chair. Thanks, Tudor. I was a strong advocate of putting solar on council's infrastructure for many years in past councils. And I really support this. There's probably two parts to my question. The first one, do we know roughly, just high level, savings that we've made on the existing solar installations at that five sites? Because I note in this report it states that there's going to be savings of 18 or just under $20,000 per annum. Payback for this is going to be 4.7 years or thereabouts. Yeah, just a bit of an update, just to confirm, council, that this is the right financial decision to make. And secondly, with the Lyndon Close drain, we've designed it, but we haven't got the money to construct it. Will that naturally go into consideration for the next 26-27 budget considerations? Are you aware? Or, I know we're not quite there yet, but is that the logical place it will go for future consideration based on priority?
Thank you for the question, Councillor. Detailed design is a very important step in constructing this type of council infrastructure. We were very interested in getting a detailed design for Lyndon Close because that can feed into funding applications for available funding. I'm not aware of it being in the next capital budget, but we haven't adopted the capital budget yet. However, it gives council the information necessary to put this up into further funding applications. This may even be possible if the Riparian Council program is extending. We don't know that yet. It's just finishing off this round. We are hoping that a new round is coming, and we're already on the front of this. With regards to the second, the first question, Councillor, actually, with regards to the energy efficiency, in November last year, we did a really detailed study to see exactly how much energy we have saved and how much money we have saved. At that stage, the 5 installations that we had been installed for less than 12 months. Some of them 11 months, some of them just 6 months and thereabouts. So at that stage, our savings were 11,500 direct savings from the solar generation. To that, you need to add about $27,000 saved out of operational changes out of this process. In other words, we didn't look only at what we achieved from the solar installation, we also look whether our pumps are actually pumping at the right time. For instance, we don't want them pumping at night and using grid power. We would like to get them pumping at day when the solar generation is the largest, making most use of our solar generation. Of course, that sounds simple in theory, but we don't want to have negative effects and impact on the operations of water and waste. So that requires some design, modeling and testing to see whether if we change operations in this way, it actually interferes with what water and waste is doing. So we are well advanced in this process. I think there's still a few operational changes that we're looking at, but yeah, to date we saved $27,000 out of operational changes. I also looked this morning, we're able to check in real life what our solar systems are doing on SolarWeb. And this morning we had a total of 133.95 megawatt hour. That's 133,950 kilowatt hour that we have generated with these 5 installations to date, and an estimate of around $20,000.
Thanks, Judah.
No, that covered my question.
Sorry. Any more questions for Tudor on this one? Okay, can we have a mover and seconder for 13.3? Councillor Barty and Councillor Lang. Councillor Barty, would you like to talk to that?
No, really just to say thanks for all the information about the economic benefits from these projects. I think they're really important for council and I'd like to see more of them. So thanks, Judah.
Okay, councillors, final call. Councillor Carchi.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm going to talk against this. Cheetah, I understand where you're coming from with regards to the solar and the economic benefits that brings with it. My issue is, if you was to come to me or come to this meeting with a report that suggested you're going to put those solar panels on steel frames out the flat here, I'd have supported it 100%. You're suggesting you're going to put these solar panels on this roof here. This roof, and I'll put my builder's hat on here, this roof, this complex here was designed as a disaster coordination centre and was engineered to that effect, I think, to withstand a Cat 3 cyclone. Okay. Now, I know I asked this question to you the other day. Have you had engineering reports to say that the additional load of all these solar panels on this roof would be okay? The existing structure would be okay to support that, and you told me yes. Okay, we'll put that one to one side for a moment. But from a buildings perspective, and someone who's inspected buildings over many years, I know the more holes you put in a roof, the bigger chance you've got of that roof leaking. Now, you can take all the precautions under the sun to make sure that when you penetrate that roof sheeting, they don't leak. This building here is full, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of electronic equipment, and you're going to put multiple holes through that roof up there to put these solar panels on. And at some stage, they are going to leak. So for that reason, and for the purpose of this building, for what it is, I am no way going to support this because of those reasons. Like I said, if you had said you put it on frames out the side here, I'd have supported it 100%. But I know we're making a rod for our back if we approve this today to have these things on this roof. So I won't be supporting it. Thank you.
Would you like to respond? Yeah, so I'll give Judah the opportunity to respond to that. Thanks, Judah.
Thank you. Through the chair, yes, it is correct. We did ask for engineering assessment, structural engineering assessment, which proved that the roof has the carrying capacity for these panels, so it won't change its cyclone rating or affect it in that way. With regards to the quality of the workmanship, we certainly will be very careful, and there will be a professional installer who will do that, as it's done on many buildings and houses in Australia. We also will include a maintenance budget so that these panels can be checked and any repairs can be done as required. I would like probably to say that while there is a level of risk, like in most things, there's also an advantage from the point of view of creating some energy resilience for the building. So if we have a long power cut and so on, these panels can basically feed this building as well. So I believe that is balancing this risk out to some extent.
Thanks very much, Judah. And yeah, look, ultimately, if this happens, it's not Judah installing the panels, it's council installing the panels on the roof. And thank you for all the work that you've done, Judah.
Just one.
Yeah, Councillor Spanos.
I've got solar panels on my roof, Judah. They don't leak. Just want to let you know that.
All right, councillors, we've got a mover and seconder for 13.3. Those in favour? Carried. That's 6. Thank you. 13.4, Capital Projects Report, January 2026. I'll go over to Erica for that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So thank you for receiving the capital report for January. Now in the second half of the year, significant progress has been made on many projects. Funding from disaster recovery projects are progressing well and delivering improved road infrastructure to flood affected areas. Gravel resheets in the Pies Creek project remain on track, along with 58 other projects currently in the construction and delivery phase. 22 projects are now closed or at practical completion stage, which includes the Webster Road Bridge replacement, water strategy works in Willanda, the Lapperberry Club roof, the renewal and the Majestic Theatre facade. These projects are now being set up in our asset registers, maintenance schedules and depreciation records. Progress and weather impacts are being monitored closely across all projects, with any amendments identified being managed as part of the coming budget review. I'm happy to take any questions in this report.
Questions for Erica? Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Lang and Councillor Hayden. Councillor Lang?
No, happy with that, thank you.
Any questions, councillors? 13.4, those in favour? Carried, that's 7. Okay, that brings us to 13.5, the Battery Park project detailed design commencement. I'll pass over to Sean to run through that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair. This report seeks approval to progress the Battery Park project into the detailed design phase. Whilst the site investigation report is yet to be finalised, all indications to this point show the land is suitable for its intended use. Initial testing has not identified any significant contamination. Consequently, there is very little risk in commencing detailed design now, as any final data from the ongoing water testing can be seamlessly integrated into the final design. By starting the design process immediately, we provide our officers the best possible opportunity to meet our construction milestones and fully expense the allocated funding by the June 2027 deadline.
Thanks, Sean.
Happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Sean. Questions for Sean?
Sean, did the testing show anything at all? Or just there was no contamination, or was there anything?
Through the chair. So yes, there was definitely a lot of contaminants, but they were all located underneath the capping layer. That capping layer has been shown to meet current standards, so there's no risk with that coming through the soil.
Okay, councillors, do we have a mover and seconder of 13.5? Councillor Hayden and Councillor Spanos. Councillor Hayden, you'd like to talk to that?
Do you want me to say something?
Happy for you too, it's your call.
Okay, I support the commencement of the detailed design phase for all 5 stages of Battery Park Herveston. Progressing the full detailed design concurrently will enable efficient planning, accurate cost estimations, or whatever I say, and streamline staging, ensuring consistency across the park. Early advancement of detailed design will place the project in a strong position for completion when further funding becomes available. This also will provide certainty in stakeholders and the community.
Thanks, Councillor Hayden. Thank you. Councillor Spanos?
No, okay, thanks.
Councillors, Councillor Bilney and then Councillor Carter.
Through the chair, it's a bit like the Miller precinct improvement plan. It's investment in areas that are outlined. I think it's good that council is investing in those little places, and this is just another example of that.
Very good. Councillor.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Sean, it's Sean, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Just for the benefit of the general public, what was the total budget for this project?
On that for you now.
So we can take that one on notice, might be better. This project has run over a couple of years as well, so we'll get the details and bring that through.
Well, what I was leading to, just needs to know what the total budget was and what costs have been spent to date and what's left to provide some stages into the future. I think the public needs to know that.
Yeah, we'll take that one on notice, councillor Darju, and come back.
Yeah, I was going to say, through the chair, it is included in the report. I don't have those.
Oh, right, okay.
So just under
This
financial,
page.
under financial and resource implications.
All right, we've got a mover and seconder of
Mr.
30.
Chair, just, while it's in here, can I just lead to it? Can you speak to it? Tell me what it is?
Yep.
Do you want me to?
Sorry, I'm just trying to find the actual page of the report. Yep, so through the chair, so the original budget for this was 1.5 mil prior to the additional investigations that have been undertaken. Current cost estimates for the budget are sitting at approximately 2.8 mil, and from that, spend to date for investigations are approximately 300,000.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. We've got a mover and seconder for 13.5. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. That brings us to Community and Corporate Services. 14.1, the financial report, January 2026. Oh, Erica again. Gotcha. All right, so I'll go to Erica on that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm wearing a few hats today. So I'm pleased to present the finance report for January. The operating revenue is slightly over budget at 3.2% year to date. This is primarily due to some grant funds for disaster recovery works being received a little earlier than forecast. Operating expenses are on target with a slight under budget variance of 1.5% year to date. With January seeing our ordinary full-time equivalent hours worked equate to almost 275 full-time positions alongside overtime of 8.13 equivalent positions. Tenders opened in January included support for capital works delivery as well as lease opportunities for the Ravenshoe Town Hall. Outstanding rates for January sat at 4.3%, which is 2.8 million. We also have approximately 230 accrued payment plans in place, supporting the reduction of these balances. Cash balances remain steady at 63 million as we head into the rating period, which is now issued in the February month. Happy to take any questions.
Questions, councillors? Okay, do we have a mover and seconder of the financial report? Councillor Lang moving. Councillor Barty. Councillor Lang.
No, as usual, well done.
Thank you.
Councillors, any? Councillor Billing.
Yeah, through the chair. In the local paper recently, there was an article written by a journalist and supported by comments from a former councillor. The article conflated two different financial factors, projected outcomes and actual outcomes, which may have given readers the impressions of a deficit financial position of Tablelands Regional Council. The adopted 25-26 budget projected a small full-year surplus of 24,515. That's not in dispute. As at 31st of December 2025, the budget projection showed a deficit of 1.464 million. That is not in dispute. However, the actual result for that same period was a surplus of $634,475, quite different from a deficit. The facts show that the actual position of Tablelands Regional Council is significantly stronger than projected. There was a comment about the test is in the taste. Well, if the test is in the outcome, then the outcome is a surplus, which very pleasingly is much better than the projection.
Thanks, Councillor Billing. Okay, councillors, we have a mover and seconder of the financial report. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. So that brings us to 14.2, councillors. So 14.2 was the 2024-25 annual report. However, that needs to be withdrawn today. CEO, I'll let you explain.
Thank you very much, and through the chair. So we are withdrawing this paper because we require some finals approvals on the amendments by the Queensland Audit Office. We'll come back to a later meeting.
Thank you. Can I have a mover and seconder to withdraw 14.2 from today's agenda, please? Councillor Bilney is moving. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7.
Mr Mayor, was it the financial report or amendment to the financial report?
Sorry, the annual report.
The annual report.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings us to item 16, business without notice. Councillor Vardy.
I've got 2 things today. The Cancer District Powerboat and Ski Club contacted me in relation to being on the divestment list, and they've written a letter which they've asked me to table. I'll do that, and I'll just also say at the stage when they asked me to table it, I wasn't aware of the April sort of meeting being the focus on divestment, so they're also going to be doing a presentation then. But I did let them know I'd table the letter today, Jackie, so I'll send that through to you. And I just wanted to do a shout out for the Clean Up Australia Day events on this weekend in Malanda, and for the first time in Yuncaborough on Saturday. You can go to both. Malanda's on Sunday. So I just wanted to give a big thank you to the interest from council in becoming an official supporting council. There's 31 councils already involved, and we're not on that list yet, and I'd love to see us on that list. The event in Yuncaborough, which is at Tinnaborough, is organised by the Tablelands Country Rowing Club and the Dam Outrigger Club. And a big thank you to Council Officer Gary Weedle, who's been really helpful with waste management and helping me get all that sorted. So, yeah, voting up.
Through the chair, I thought my notes have been stolen, but I'll just elaborate a little bit on the clean-up. Malanda Day, to be held on Sunday between the hours of 8 and 11, is actually supported by TRC through the community project request. They've got some funding to put on some snags.
Oh, you got funding? Oh, we're doing us for free, mate.
Yeah, we're actually getting something back for the volunteers. So last year we had about 135 different organisations turn up within the community, so it was really well supported. So if anyone's looking at volunteering on Sunday or Saturday, they can come and meet at Jackman Park.
I should say the official day is Sunday, but we're doing ours on Saturday because that's when the club meets. So that's, yeah, that was the reasoning.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Bilney. Councillor Spanos.
Through the chair, I'm going to jump in here now as well. The Atherton Enhancement Group are also looking at doing something this, however, a little later on. We're currently in a process, and they are also looking at jumping on board as well. So a big shout out to them also.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Spanos. Okay, Councillor Kaji.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I've got 3 items. The first item, I've just received an email from GM Hillary advising that the community satisfaction survey is now front and centre on our website for those who are listening out there. That's very good. Thank you, Hillary. My second item is with regards to the lease for the Herberton Junior Rugby League. I'm getting some phone calls from members of that club who are not entirely happy. I thought the lease was done and dusted, but because I attended a meeting there with Councillor Hayden, well, it would have been 12 months ago now, I thought it was all over, but obviously it's not. And I just asked the question, you can take it on notice if you like, where are we at with that lease? and to note that they do want a lease over that building, they don't want a licence. So if you could just give me some update on that when you can, or by the next meeting would be preferable. My next item is I would like to know when the eastern connection to Manthey Road is going to be completed. I am getting flogged from residents along Manthey Road wanting to know when that eastern connection is going to be reinstated, that's been taken out. And I would like some answers sooner rather than later, please.
I'll take that one on notice.
You can take it on notice, yes, absolutely. But I really would like an answer prior to the next council meeting, please.
Okay. I think that's business without notice done. Thank you. So that brings us to item 17, which is confidential items. So we'll just move into confidential. I'll just have to read out this this rationale for going into confidential. I'll do it for all five of the confidential items. I'll do it all together, so I only have to do it once. But there's a few words. Okay. These reports are confidential in accordance with section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, which permits the meeting to be closed to the public for business relating to the following. For item 17.1 and for item 17.2, clause E, legal advice obtained by the local government or legal proceedings involving the local government, including, for example, legal proceedings that may be taken by or against the local government. And clause G, negotiations relating to a commercial matter involving the local government for which a public discussion would be likely to prejudice the interests of the local government. For item 17.3, T00313 Silver Valley Road Bridge Replacement. Item G, clause G, negotiations relating to a commercial matter involving the local government for which a public discussion would be likely to prejudice the interest of the local government. For item 17.4, rate debt recovery, sale of land. Clause E, legal advice obtained by the local government or legal proceedings involving the local government, including, for example, legal proceedings that may be taken by or against the local government. And clause F, matters that may directly affect the health and safety of an individual or a group of individuals. For item 17.5, tender T00305, supply and delivery of outdoor, uniform and optional PPE. Clause G, negotiations relating to a commercial matter involving the local government for which a public discussion would be likely to prejudice the interest of the local government. And councillors, I didn't read the first two agenda items in confidential. The first one was 17.1, T00301, Anthill Creek Crossing Construction, and 17.2 was T00300, Danbulla Road Geotechnical Remediation. But can we have a mover and seconder to go into confidential on that basis? Thank you. Councillor Barty and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's it. So councillors, we're at 17.1 Anthill Creek Crossing construction. Could I have a mover and seconder of option 1? Councillor Hayden's moving option 1 and Councillor Spanos. I'll just read option 1. That council award T00301 Anthill Creek Crossing construction, Wairuna Road, Minamooka, to Lift Tech Proprietary Limited for 1,380,555.90, including GST, for the alternative bridge solution. 2. Amend the capital budget project C000948 FLD Jasper Anthill Creek Bridge, reconstruction of essential public assets at the next budget review due to tender prices being higher than the initial estimates. The required increase will be confirmed at the time, and all eligible expenditure excluding the trigger point value will be reimbursed by Queensland Reconstruction Authority on approval of actuals. 3. Delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009 to negotiate, finalise and execute all matters associated with these arrangements, including variations to the contract within the constraints of the executed funding agreement between the QRA and Tablelands Regional Council. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. That was 7. Okay, that brings us to 17.2. Could I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation in 17.2, Danbulla Road geotechnical remediation? Councillor Barty is moving. And a seconder, please, Councillor Spanos. Thank you. So the officer's recommendation is that council award T00300 Danbulla Road, Tinaroo geotechnical remediation to HEH Civil Proprietary Limited for $948,533.41, including GST. Amend the capital budget for project C000904 FLD Jasper Danbulla Road geotech reconstruction of essential public assets at the next budget review due to tender prices being higher than the initial estimates. The required increase will be confirmed at that time, and all eligible expenditure, excluding the trigger point value, will be reimbursed by QRA on approval of actuals. 3. Delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009 to negotiate, finalise and execute all matters associated with these arrangements, including variations to the contract within the constraints of the executed funding agreement between the QRA and the Tablelands Regional Council. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. (17.3), which is T00313 Silver Valley Road Bridge replacement. Can I have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew is moving. Second, Councillor Hayden. Okay. The officer's recommendation that Council 1 award T00313 Silver Valley Road Bridge replacement to Lift Tech Proprietary Limited for $566,578.10, including GST. Excuse me. Amend the capital budget for the project C000922 Silver Valley Bridge replacement at the next budget review due to the tender prices being higher than the initial estimates. resulted by few design changes of road approaches. 3, delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009 to negotiate, finalise and execute all matters associated with these arrangements, including variations to the contract within the constraints of the executed funding agreement between the QRA and the Tablelands Regional Council. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. (17.4). Can I have a mover of the officer's recommendation for 17.4, rate debt recovery, sale of land? Councillor Cardew's moved. And Councillor Spanos seconded. The officer's recommendation, a council resolve, A, pursuant to regulation 142 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, to sell the land described in Schedule A to this resolution by reason of the non-payment of overdue rates and charges which have been outstanding for more than 3 years, and authorises the taking of all necessary action to effect such sales in accordance with Chapter 4, Part 12, Division 3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012. Schedule A, assessment number 23384, lot 31, RP 851480. Rate balance as at the 31st of January 2026, $20,580. Next item, 26233, lot 2, RP 735269, as at the 31st of January this year, $22,822.20. Item 3, 30435, lot 2, RP 735014, as at the 31st of January, $24,751.30. Lot 4, 33424, lot 1, RP 727343, as of the 31st of January, $11,585.80. Item 5, 333629, lot 3, CP 904377, as at the 31st of January, $7,536.35. Lot 6, 33694, lot 5, MPH 14248, and lot 6, MPH 14248. As of the 31st of January, $17,562.10. Item 35912, lot 4, MPH 14248, as at the 31st of January, $31,404.90. And finally, item 36748, lot 96, SP 204140, as at the 31st of January, $14,593.20. Item B, to delegate to the Chief Executive Officer its power to take all further and necessary action pursuant to Chapter 4, Part 12, Division 3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, to effect the sale of the land as described in Schedule A to this resolution, including, for the avoidance of doubt, the power to end the sale procedures, including pursuant to Regulation 1413 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and C, to delegate to the Chief Executive Officer its power to take all further and necessary action to write off any remaining debt to enable properties sold by the sale of the land process to be free of all encumbrances on transfer of title as per section 1454 of the Local Government Regulation 2012. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. And finally, 17.5 T00305, supply and delivery of outdoor uniform and optional PPE. Can we have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Billney moving and Councillor Lang. The officer's recommendation that council award tender T00305, supply and delivery of outdoor uniform and optional PPE to the following conforming tenders for the establishment of a preferred supplier arrangement. Colour Studio, ABN 882746700027. Infinite Workwear Proprietary Limited, trading as Work Locker, ABN 48656099204. Pacific Fasteners and Hydraulics Proprietary Limited, ABN 27097221773. RSEA Safety Proprietary Limited, ABN 910943855430. And finally, Vexen Proprietary Limited, ABN 956910472211. Second item, note that the preferred supplier agreement will operate in an as required basis to support council's operational needs while ensuring compliance and workplace health and safety requirements. And 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to finalise and execute the necessary contractual arrangements in accordance with council's procurement policy and delegations. Can we have those in favour? Carried, that's 7, thank you. Okay, councillors, that's the end of today's meeting, and our next meeting is, I believe, the 19th of March. Thanks, everyone. Closed.